With The Mandalorian Season 3 finale now a thing of the past and all said and done with, a lot of fans are now anticipating the Ahsoka Tano series, which, by the way, is about to debut by this August of 2023. We still don't have an exact release date just yet, as they are still fine-tuning the editing process of Ahsoka. But whatever have you, there's a lot of things going on right now between John, Dave, George, as well as Tony Gilroy with Andor Season 2 and beyond, and exactly where Disney Star Wars is heading for the future of the franchise. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So there's a lot of things going on with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They got to talk more about their upcoming Star Wars movie today, about how it's basically going to be a mashup of all the Mandoverse characters, including, of course, everything that has yet to have been announced just yet. So we have a lot of things coming our way from Dave and John, and it's something that I am so very excited about, very passionate about. And what I like so much about Favreau, by the way, is how he stays very much in touch with the fans. He keeps them posted, he keeps them hyped up. He really kind of likes to stay direct with the Star Wars community, alright? Now, what's really great about Favreau is what he recently had to tease and drop a couple of hints for when it comes to one of the fan-favorite characters out there from the prequel trilogy. That is, of course, no other than Mace Windu. Now, as you all know, Mace Windu had a presumed death in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And in that episode, a lot of fans were always wondering whatever happened to Mace, right? We know that Lucas actually expressed his opinion on things, as well as Samuel L. Jackson before in the past. However, with Favreau and Filoni recently staying in touch with the fans, Favreau recently was able to inform the fan base on his view of a very popular character and began to make a couple of teases and hints to the fandom. Favreau stated the following about Mace Windu. So, this is something that I think I am questioned about almost all the time, and one thing I will say is that when I talked this over with George Lucas, we both agreed that Mace Windu certainly survived the fall in Episode 3. We have been having discussions like this every single week on how we could explore that story and where they could really go. I also met up with Sam Jackson about this issue, on where the fans stand on exactly their thoughts about the whereabouts of Mace Windu. George surprisingly admitted to me once that he purposely actually kept Windu's fate ambiguous in case if he ever wanted to revisit that character. Fans always ask me, are we bringing back Mace Windu alive? Well, all I can really say is that keep your eyes out and open with all the shows that we have lined up, and perhaps fans will just get an idea of where we are going with that. I'm a huge fan, a huge Star Wars fan, and Mace is one of my favorite characters of all time. So who couldn't like him to come back? Of course, I always ran things up with George on other uses like flashbacks and stuff like that for our other projects, which we two are also discussing right now. So let me just stop right here for 1 second. Now, Favreau brings up a very interesting point that George actually does consider Mace Windu alive and well after his fall in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And even Sam Jackson, you guys may remember back in Celebration, what was it, like a 2016, 2017, right around there? He even said that he believes Mace Windu survived, and he was begging at the time Kathleen Kennedy to make it happen. Now, ever since then, we have yet to have gotten a return of Mace Windu, but something has been brewing behind closed doors. We've been talking about this for a while. It's been on and off for a very long time, but they are having, of course, a lot of discussions every single month, and there are concrete plans of bringing back Mace Windu. Exactly how it's going to be executed is something that they are trying to form to this very day. So that's exactly what Favreau is alluding to. You guys may recall that we've talked about this before in the past, that there is a Mace Windu TV show that was once in development that kind of got lost in limbo mode, and then it went back on track for a while, and we haven't really heard about much since. But what's really exciting is that there are actually plans to reboot the Kenobi series. and basically that would be a Season 2, a soft reboot of Obi-Wan Kenobi, not necessarily called Season 2, but a continuation of that story that would also showcase flashbacks to the events of Order 66 that would feature Mace Windu's return, as well as using that element in other shows, and Favreau kind of alludes to that here as well. Now, the other thing is, of course, about Mace Windu being in the present, whether or not he's alive. Favreau states that he's fully open to that as well. So, moving on, he states, "It's something that I think holds a great story that could be told there, and see to where that could actually go on, and how that could be handled would be a difficult yet fun task to take on. I know it may be a bit repetitive for fans with these characters coming back, like Boba, Palpatine, Maul, and whatnot, but fans need to remember that those characters also eventually met their end for good. It's about their presumed deaths that hold value, that could lead to their official demise later on, that can make an even more special moment for the audience, and that's something that we can certainly look into. Star Wars is just a part of my living being, and I love exploring all these adventures and where they could possibly go." So again, Favreau is also, very much making it clear that he's talking about how a lot of presumed deaths ended up being the characters coming back to life. Now, we've seen endlessly that many of the Star Wars shows featured Order 66 flashbacks, such as, of course, Mando Season 3, the Book of Boba touched on this a little bit, Mando Season 2, and a little bit here and there, technically. There's a lot of things that tap into the Order 66 element, and how John and Dave have also talked about this before, that this is something that they are going to continue to revisit in many of their upcoming shows, as well as Ahsoka and Ahsoka Season 2, and more as well on top of that. Now, Favreau before in the past, he also teased about Mace Windu coming back in the present, that he actually never really died, and how he's also hinting it here about how he talked this over with George Lucas and some of that. And I think that at the end of the day, right, he makes a good point about the whole characters coming back, that yeah, it may feel a little repetitive at times to a lot of Star Wars fans, that a lot of characters presumed dead are just ending up alive and well, and that they never really died. But they eventually do meet their demise. We see what happened, of course. We saw what happened to Darth Maul in, of course, Rebels. We saw what happened to Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker. We've also seen what happened, of course, to other characters before in the past in Legends that also had a very similar treatment, by the way, different villains and alike. And it's interesting that he points out that it gives them the opportunity to kind of give them a more, I guess you could say, impactful treatment of meeting their end, essentially. Now, obviously, I still agree that some of these villains should have just stayed dead right from the get-go, such as Darth Maul. I feel that he should have been left alone in The Phantom Menace, and he should have been just remained, of course, at the bottom of the pit. But that's just my opinion on things. Regardless, I do love his role in the animated shows, and how he got that nice cameo in Solo: A Star Wars Story, so there's a lot of great things that can come out of it. I will admit, as much as I disagree that Darth Maul should have survived, at the end of the day, it gave him great stories to tell in the animated shows. So I see where Favreau's coming for with that, but overall, I would love to hear what each and every one of you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.